the end of Harry Potter coming this summer on the silver screen. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Thomas Vanderskiff, you said you grew up with it. What did you learn from Harry Potter?
I don't think it's necessarily about learning something, but it just really hits hard on the nostalgia of growing up and maturing and relationships. And it sounds cliche, but love really is like the central theme and kind of really at the heart of the movie, no pun intended. But so
I don't know what age he was, but my son Harrison, maybe he was 7. We came back from one of the movies, and he was in the bathroom. I didn't know what he was up to, and he was up on the counter kneeling with a marker drawing a lightning on his forehead.
Scar, sure.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Cowboys and Aliens, Ron Van Timmeren. This is going to be a big one, it looks like. And Eric Daw, you said it's polling well in your iPhone.
Yeah,
thing.
It's got a 95% want-to-see rating, and that's Daniel Craig, so of course he's kind of switching out of his new James Bond persona to do this one.
Baddies from outer space attempt a takeover of the American West, but they haven't counted on the frontier spirit. That's got Harrison Ford in it?
Yep, Harrison Ford.
Yeah, directed by Jon Favreau, who did the Iron Man movies, and of course, the good actor himself, and one of the stars of Hollywood. So I really love his work. I think he can bring the right balance of action and comedy. I mean, it's really quite a high concept, but the Western, you can think back to True Grit and the success it had, and maybe with Cowboys and Aliens, we're having Westerns come back into vogue.
Speaking of Daniel Craig, is there work going on a new James Bond movie? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, they keep saying so, and yet they don't know. They haven't shot anything yet. They were certainly hoping that would be next year. So I think they cleared all the rights issues up and all that distribution issues that were plaguing the project for years now. I think they're getting ready to go.
Yet another 3D movie. The Smurfs are coming back. Speaking of nostalgia, now you're going back toward when we were kids.
Yeah, 1983 they made a movie, and of course that's based on the TV series. I don't know that this one's got a chance, but this live-action with animation thing started with Alvin and the Chipmunk being a big hit, and even that wretched Yogi Bear movie was made $80 million. So who's to say the Smurfs can't do that?
Well, that's Hollywood. They're going to look around for those concepts, and if they see a successful concept, they'll replicate it in as many variations as they can, and that's what they're doing with the Smurfs.
We'll see about that. Now, here's another one, another franchise, Reborn. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
I have that on my list, too, yeah.
Do you really?
Coming back, yeah.
James Franco.
Yep, James Franco, and he... that's got a 91%
People love that
rating.
stuff. Huh?
Yeah. Well, you remember they just brought out the last one with Mark Wahlberg, and that how did that one do, Ron? I thought it did pretty well, but I can't
very
remember.
well. And Tim Burton directed it, and so that had the Tim Burton crowd excited, and this they're talking about it as a prequel because they're calling it Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and so. That seems to be a theme when you've run out of ways to go forward, you go backward, and it's really actually worked quite well.
Yeah, sometimes I don't want to see that. Like, I didn't want to see the new Arthur because I liked the old one.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. When I watched the preview, I think I saw the previews for that twice before I realized this is like a remake of the one with Dudley Moore, and Dudley was so captivating and so charming and so effervescent. And I could not see anybody else in that role.
Having said that, Russell Brand, I can see him playing the part very easily, but I just didn't want to spoil it. But Planet of the Apes, this is going to explain how the planet got that way.
Yeah, X-Men First Class coming out on June 3rd is also a prequel for the X-Men. You get to learn about the mysterious past of Professor X and others that went on to make that X-Men series so popular.
Another remake, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, comes out in August 12th. That was a movie that I saw in the old afternoon movie theater. They're pretty darn spooky stuff.
Yeah, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark from a very small distributor, so it hasn't made it into the big lineup sheets that I get. So I'm not sure exactly. Is this a remake?
It's a girl who discovers strange creatures living in the old house that belongs to her father. What was her name? Karen Black, right? All those years ago. And remember, no one would believe her, and one day they carried her off into the furnace, and that was that. I think that's how it ends. It was pretty spooky. Karen Black.
Yeah, give you a few nightmares, I think.
Yeah, she kept seeing them, but no one else could see. Conan the Barbarian is coming around again.
There we go.
Right, that the week after Don't Be Afraid of the Dark comes the remake of Conan O'Brien, the Barbarian, also Fright Night and Spy Kids 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even at the end of August, we've still got sequels to do.
Fright Night's another one. That was 1985.
Perfect, you're right.
Yeah, right in that demographic wheelhouse. I wonder if that's part of the strategy.
Yeah, that could be. Colin Farrell is playing the lead this time, and of course they're throwing 3D at it again to try to give it some extra whiz-bang. So, you know what, Michael Patrick, you probably know this. I'm not a big fan of horror movies, so this one looks a little scary.
Yeah, it is a little scary, but it was a nice enough movie back in the day. But it seems like almost a lot of these movies I'm seeing on this list are 3D. Conan the Barbarian is too, and I presume Spy Kids.
Exactly, yeah, and it is a big gimmick this summer. I don't know how we're going to get them all in the theater in 3D because there's a limited number of screens in each location for 3D, and so, you know, if Harry Potter goes on a roll and starting in July, it'll be tough to get it off the 3D screen for some of this other product.
Shark Night 3D.
No way.
Yeah. Shark Night comes, as it must to all men, to a group of college friends spending a weekend in a Louisiana vacation home.
Okay. Wow. There's a high concept.
And here's another high concept. A good old-fashioned orgy. A group of friends throw a final party at a house in the Hamptons. I hope that movie, I presume it's going to be exactly what it says it's about there. Also, we have some highbrow movies in between that we'll get to in just our last segment coming up with our summer movie preview with Eric Daw and Ron Van Timmeren. I'm Michael Patrick Shields.